Toyotathon is on, and the deals are sizzling hot. Grab great savings on the road-gripping Camry all-wheel drive, the revved-up RAV4, and the roomy Highlander. Visit your local Toyota dealer to learn more about big savings or visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Toyotathon is on, and the deals are sizzling hot. Grab great savings on the road-gripping Camry all-wheel drive, the revved-up RAV4, and the roomy Highlander. Visit your local Toyota dealer to learn more about big savings or visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. There are so many people involved in this Jeffrey Epstein case that if you weren't following it from the very beginning and you're just dipping your toes into the water now, your head must be spinning by the array of characters that comes into your view. And on today's show, we're going to talk about another one of these characters who is somebody who needs to be talked about. This is somebody who we have heard was on the plane dozens of times. Somebody that played a key role in Jeffrey Epstein's organization overseas and elsewhere. And somebody that is definitely having a few sleepless nights as this investigation begins to roll. And the person that we're talking about is Clare Hazell. Another so-called member of polite society, royalty, aristocracy, thinks she's better than everybody else, was involved with Jeffrey Epstein, his criminal enterprise, and the heinous crimes they committed for decades. And for all of these years, these people who enabled, who helped, were able to really avoid scrutiny. They were able to really avoid the pressure. But that is no longer the case. Ever since the survivors pulled the genius move of doing an end around on the legacy media and taking their message to the people directly, it has been a bad time for Epstein's associates. And it's only going to get worse because no longer is it just public outrage and public cries for justice, but it would appear that the slow wheels of justice are finally grinding. And if you're a target of the federal government in a case such as this, you have no choice but to be ground up and spit out. And if there is any shred of decency left within the Department of Justice, that is exactly what we will see. All of these people who were involved, especially the core four, will end up in jail. Now, there'll be other people involved who won't end up facing criminal penalty, probably. A lot of these enablers, they'll wiggle their way out somehow. But it doesn't matter because the damage is done. The stink and the stain of Epstein on these enablers, it's bad news for them. You see what's happening with people who were involved with Epstein all throughout business and different areas and walks of life. People that have had to step back from their jobs, leave their positions as CEOs, etc., etc. And all of these people that live these fantastic lives for so many years, while these survivors were busy trying to get somebody, anybody to listen to them, are now experiencing anxiety and fear and not knowing what's coming next. And do you know what that's called? That's called the shoe being on the other foot. And the lady we're talking about tonight, Clare Hazell, I am sure she is having a sleepless night or two herself. The article today is from the Daily Mail. The headline, Countess who took 30 flights on pedophile's Lolita Express quits NSPCC. Lady Ivy flew with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on a trip to the private island. And obviously, there's a bunch of pictures in the article I will post the link inside of the description box so you can go and check it out for yourself and look at all of these pictures and whatnot. This article was authored by Mark Hookham and Andrew Young. The wife of an aristocrat who flew more than 30 times on Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express private jet has stepped down from her role at the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. The real question is, how did Clare Hazell have that role in the first place? It's just like the New York Academy of Art. These people would have you believe that they had no fault in what happened with Maria. They would have you believe that Eileen Guggenheim is not a snake. And they would have you believe that their relationship with Epstein was just something that was minor. Well, we know the truth. We know that Epstein sat on their board for many years. We know Epstein was being a bag man, giving money to people around there. And it's no different with this prevention of cruelty to children. There's no reason for this lady who had this stink on her. All you had to do was a simple search for who she is. There is no reason she should be working around children. Just like there is no good reason why Eileen Guggenheim is still in her position. All of these people, even with the stink of Jeffrey Epstein on them, I'm sorry, but there are repercussions for your actions. If you want to cavort and break bread with a pedophile, you might be accepted in so-called polite society, but in real society, where the rest of us live, you most certainly are not welcome. In fact, there is only one place for people like you, and that is a prison cell. Clare Hazell raised thousands of pounds for the charity by hosting a classic car show each year at her family's sprawling Elvedon estate in Norfolk. Oh, well, that's a wrap then, folks. So because she raised thousands of pounds each year with a car show, we shouldn't hold her responsible for her role with Jeffrey Epstein, helping to procure, helping to, have the organization run smoothly. But just like with the rest of them, because of their charitable givings and their charitable works, we should all just take a step back and understand that these are our betters, and we shouldn't question their actions. And for so long, that was the case, because the legacy media was dropping gaslight bombs on a regular basis. Oh, they still are, there's no doubt. But those of you who are listening to this podcast, you are way too hip for that shit. Those days have come and gone. The days of you being gaslit, the days of people pulling the wool over your eyes and not shooting you straight are long gone. It is time for truth. Even if it's hard truth that is almost impossible to swallow, it is time for the truth. The Mail on Sunday last month revealed that the interior designer, who became the Countess of Ivy in 2001 when she married Edward Guinness, 4th Earl of Ivy, and a member of the Brewing dynasty, had repeatedly traveled with serial pedophile Epstein on his private jet. And then you look at these girls that were all in Epstein's orbit, right? Clare Hazell, Sarah Kellen Vickers, etc., etc. And they end up with these fancy husbands, these fancy lives, and they've taken no responsibility for what they have done. And in their hubris, and in their arrogance, for years, they figured that this was going to go away. They thought that they were really going to be able to avoid justice like usual. Well, they're wrong. The year 2020, that's the year that all of these predators turn into the prey. Flight logs revealed she took 32 flights between 1998 and 2000, including trips to his homes in New York, Florida, the Caribbean, and New Mexico. And I'm looking at a picture of her as I'm reading this, and she just has that kind of face where she's into some weird shit. I mean, I don't know. All of these so-called people in polite society creep me out. They're all gross. They all have like these disgusting ways of life. And their behavior in general is just completely and utterly unnerving. And the fact that she was on this plane 32 times? 32 times, huh? And that's just with the flight logs that we have seen. Remember, all the flight logs have not been revealed yet, right? I believe it's only 1/3 of the flight logs have been put out for public consumption or have been revealed. So how many times she truly flew on this plane to these places, Lord only knows. But every single time she was on this plane and she ended up at one of these places, every single trip needs to be investigated. Every minute spent with Epstein, investigated. Every minute spent clanking champagne glasses with Ghislaine Maxwell must be investigated. It was subsequently reported that U.S. investigators want to contact the Countess as part of their investigation into Epstein. There is no suggestion that she was involved with or had knowledge of any wrongdoing. Oh, there's not, huh? I think that maybe you should listen to what the survivors have to say. I say this all the time to people who ask me about this case. What's the best source? Who can you go to? Who should you talk to? Listen to the survivors. Listen to their accounts. Listen to what they went through and the people that put them in those positions. That's the best way to find out what really happened in this case. No need to go to secondhand sources. No need to ask a journalist to tell you what happened. All of these girls pretty much have come forward and have told their stories of who was involved, when, where, how, why. Now it's up to society to do their part and bring these people to justice. Lady Ivy had been president of the NSPCC's West Suffolk branch since at least October of 2011, when she opened a new children's center for the charity in Ipswich, Suffolk. Again with the charities, again around children. What is the predisposition of these people that makes them always want to be around these kids like this? And it's so brazen, they throw it in our face. I don't know about you folks, but is it a coincidence that every single person we talk about here that was involved with Epstein's criminal organization in one way or the other has some sort of charity, and a good percentage of them have to do with children? I mean, it's just unbelievable to me that these people were allowed to operate for so long and nobody ever stepped up and asked any hard questions or did a deep dive, an investigative piece. These people were just able to operate at will and do whatever the hell they wanted. The Elvedon Classic Car Show, which takes place in the walled gardens of the Elvedon Estate, last year raised £14,000 for the branch. Oh, a whole £14,000, huh? So you mean to tell me there's no other rich benefactor who isn't a scumbag? I know that's probably pretty difficult at this point, considering just about everybody we talk about who has, big dough seems to be a dirtbag. But there's not a benefactor that could come forward and give them that 14 grand now that this lady has been outed as the scumbag disgustoid that she is? Until Thursday, the car show's website stated, the NSPCC are fortunate enough to have Lady Ivy as president for West Suffolk and would like to thank Lord and Lady Ivy for their continued support of this event. But last night, an NSPCC spokeswoman said, in the past, that was her title. She had a local volunteer fund raising role within a small branch based in the West Suffolk area. She no longer volunteers with us. And again, all of these charities, whenever one of these disgusting snakes gets outed, these charities try to distance themselves right away. Well, that wasn't we didn't know that. She wasn't really close to us. Just a volunteer, Meanwhile, she's running around raising all kinds of money since 2011, has herself this car show, but they're not close. She's not a big part of what's going on. Come on, man. These people truly believe that we're dumb enough to listen to the things that they have to say. The biggest mistake that ever happened, that ever occurred when it comes to so-called polite society and these so-called members of the elite, the biggest mistake they made was locking us in our homes and giving us the time to really pull the blinds back and take a good hard look at the disgusting people who would rule over us. And the rage within the people, the outcry from the people, is deafening. The charity, which works to protect children from abuse and help them recover, declined to say when Lady Ivy had stepped down or why. In a statement, it added, "The safety of all of our children and young people is our number one priority. All our volunteering roles have appropriate checks specific to their responsibilities." Well, not that good. A simple Google search would have shown you just what kind of person Clare Hazell is and the people she associates with. You mean to tell me that somebody who was an associate of Jeffrey Epstein's, who flew on the plane 30 some odd times, should be anywhere around a children's charity? That's a good idea? Who made that decision? Because that person should be fired as well. The Countess did not respond to a request for the comment. The nature of her connection to Epstein is not fully clear. She was reportedly studying at Ohio State University in the 90s, and her contact details appear in Epstein's infamous Little Black Book under her married name, Clare Hazell Ivy. Yeah, just a coincidence that she was, going to school in Les Wexner's own fiefdom, right? We all know Les Wexner's the king of Ohio. We all know that Ohio will continue to stroke and finesse Les Wexner's reputation because he's loved there no matter what. Meanwhile, we all know what kind of scumbag he is. We all know that he was Jeffrey Epstein's, guy. And we all know that he had a much more intricate role in what was going on here. He's not just some old dumb guy that has no idea what occurred. Please, give me a break. And just another connection, another thread to Les Wexner and Ohio, huh? Always nice. According to flight logs, Epstein accompanied her on all but 2 of the flights. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was awaiting trial for allegedly recruiting and grooming some of Epstein's young survivors, was also on many of the flights. Yeah, they were thick as thieves. These ladies were thick as thieves. And of course they were on the flights together. Fellow travelers and all, right? And think about that for a minute. Clare Hazell was on 30 some odd flights, and only 2 of them, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't with her. Now I'm guessing, I don't have this isn't factual, right? I don't have any inside information here, but I'm guessing, and on those other 2 flights, she was flying to a destination where Epstein already was. So again, there are so many people involved in this. There are so many people that help facilitate this. And there are so many people who truly deserve to be smacked right in the face with RICO charges. And Clare Hazell is most certainly one of them. Andrew has been accused of having sex 3 times with one of Epstein's survivors. The Duke has repeatedly and strenuously denied the claims. Last night, the charity declined to say whether it believed that Andrew should talk to U.S. prosecutors about Epstein. The spokeswoman said, "Prince Andrew is no longer our patron. He supported our Full Stop campaign, which ended in 2009. And again, you see it with the distancing, and you really can't blame these companies, right? They don't want this stink, this tarnish, this garbage all over them. So they try and distance themselves. They want to make sure that they're as profitable as possible, that they're raking in as much dough as possible. So they are most assuredly going to try to distance themselves. But at the end of the day, what I ask myself is this. It's all fine and well that you distance yourself after the rug has been pulled out from under you, after the curtain has been drawn back. But the real question for this organization, the NSPCC, the New York Academy of Arts, etc., the real question is, why were they involved with you in the first place? If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that pertain to this episode can be found in the description box. And everybody who has donated to the GoFundMe, thank you very much. All right, everybody, we'll be back later on with a little bit more. Hope you all enjoy your Sunday morning.
Toyotathon is on, and the deals are sizzling hot. Grab great savings on the road-gripping Camry all-wheel drive, the revved-up RAV4, and the roomy Highlander. Visit your local Toyota dealer to learn more about big savings or visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Toyotathon is on, and the deals are sizzling hot. Grab great savings on the road-gripping Camry all-wheel drive, the revved-up RAV4, and the roomy Highlander. Visit your local Toyota dealer to learn more about big savings or visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.